Salofalava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susanna Suisuiki. Coming up.
The previous approaches have not worked, hence the reason why there has been an evolution and development.
Budget day looms in New Zealand. Also, Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister says they can't afford to keep their teachers. And
my younger sister, she sends me a lot of TikTok edits, which I think is a mark of approval.
we tsala no with the lead actress of Coconut TV's First Place. It's budget week, so what's in store for the Pacific? From community support at home to aid for the wider region, Pacifica are hoping for the best, but bracing for the impact of tightened government spending. Kaya Selby has more.
The thing about government budgets is that they can't please everyone. But leaders and experts within the Pacifica community are less than pleased about the possibility of tighter funding in Budget 2025. All eyes are on funding to the community sector and aid to the Pacific region. Tongan community leader Pakilao Manase Lua hopes for the best but doesn't expect it.
If I were, a betting person, given the record of this government, you're going to rob the poor to benefit those that possibly are okay.
With the government injecting less new money into this year's budget, savings from elsewhere are expected to pay for new projects. Mr. Lua says that his community wants to see more equity measures, but the government's recent pay equity changes undermine that.
Let's make this a fairer and better place for everybody, and that starts with our most vulnerable. And the true mark of a true civilization is how you treat your most vulnerable. Right now, we're not doing very well.
There are also fears that the drive for savings may diminish the social services that the Ministry for Pacific Peoples can provide. Ralph Elika, a service provider to the ministry, says he is pessimistic about this overall direction.
The previous approaches have not worked, hence the reason why there has been an evolution and development of ethnic-specific targeted approaches. It's the reason why we're starting to shift the dial. But to get to this point now, we'll either make the dial freeze or go backward.
Meanwhile, New Zealand is due to re-evaluate the level of climate finance it gives to overseas nations. World Vision's New Zealand Advocacy Director Rebecca Armstrong is calling for an increase in climate finance and for the Pacific region to be prioritised due to its vulnerability.
The Pacific have been a clear focus for the government, especially with Winston Peters. He did the Pacific Reset years ago. So it would be really surprising if climate finance in particular did fall short, I think.
The government will unveil Budget 2025 this Thursday at 2 p.m. New Zealand time. Pacific Peoples Minister Shane Reti declined a pre-budget interview with RNZ Pacific, but has agreed to go on the record next week.
Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister says Fiji is losing teachers to Australia and New Zealand and can't afford to match pay to bring them back. Local media is reporting a secondary school student in Fiji calling on the Education Ministry to train and hire more qualified teachers as the results are being impacted. Biman Prasad spoke with Lydia Lewis on the sidelines of the University of the South Pacific Council meeting in Auckland, questioning him on a range of issues. She started off by asking what he's doing about the teacher shortage.
The government has put in measures, we are training enough teachers, but we are also losing teachers to Australia, New Zealand. And we are happy that Australia and New Zealand gain those skills, particularly in the area of maths and science, where you have a shortage here in New Zealand, Australia has shortage there. And obviously Fiji cannot match the salaries that teachers get in Australia and New Zealand.
Have there been any talks of late between yourself or your government with the New Zealand government about making it easier in terms of immigration and visas? New Zealand has started looking at that.
Well, I've been at the forefront of advocating a much more deeper, meaningful regional integration, and I'm saying that you cannot have a more meaningful, deeper regional integration without mobility, which means, visa-free Pacific. I know, and I want to thank New Zealand government for taking some steps in that area. And we hope that as part of the broader agenda of regionalism, of Pacific integration, that mobility would be much more easier for everyone in the Pacific, including to Australia and New Zealand.
So does the New Zealand government need to do more?
Obviously, not only Australian New Zealand governments, but also Pacific governments as well. So For example, when we talk about a much more deeper, meaningful regional integration, we are talking at harmonizing of laws, policies. There's a lot of opportunity in investment funds. Fiji's investment fund, for example, is already investing in other countries in the Pacific. Easier mobility of our people to these countries, including Australia and New Zealand, will accelerate investment, will provide more innovation, new ideas, and it's going to be good for Australia and New Zealand. It's going to be good for the Pacific as well.
With the upcoming elections, with Fiji first out of the picture and so many political parties seeking to register for next year's election, what is your individual party's strategy for next year's election, or what can you reveal about what you're going to do about it?
Well, right now, I'm not thinking about the next election. I'm thinking about the next budget, which is I'm going to deliver on the 27th of June. And maybe we can talk a little bit more about that after that. But we are in a three-party coalition. Our party has worked very closely with the Honourable Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka. We formed a coalition before the election. And after the election, we had to also get Sudalpa to be part of the government. We, as a party, we believe that the political route or the political strategy that we have carved with the Honourable Prime Minister is the way forward for the country.
There have been claims that you have met with Mr. Aluwalia at his house.
I've met him many times at his house.
What do you make of those claims that it's
I meet a lot of people at the university. I was a professor at the university, and many of these people right around the table are my friends whom I have had lunch, dinner, coffee. I've visited their places. The Honourable Prime Minister of Samoa is a good friend of mine. When she comes to my home. So I can't understand this nonsense that comes from people. Some people have nothing else to do but to look at, who is meeting who.
They're saying, there's a leadership crisis here. Is there?
I don't think there is any leadership crisis. I think that's an exaggeration. Of course, vice chancellors, political leaders always have issues. Any organization, nobody can be perfect, and you cannot satisfy everyone. But I think, as you can see, this council is a very professional, good-thinking people, who have the university in their heart and mind. This is a very important institution for the region. And our government, compared to what the previous government did to the university, has actually restored that. We've restored academic freedom. We've restored grant funding to the university. The university was struggling. So there is, in my view, no leadership crisis. I think the current Vice-Chancellor's position finishes in August next year, and very soon I think the university would be looking for a new Vice-Chancellor, and so that's a process that we have to take everything through.
Deep-sea mining frontrunner The Metals Company has confirmed it will not apply for a mining license through the International Seabed Authority in June. Instead, it will apply exclusively through US regulations. China has since met with Nauru's president, making it clear the superpower is not happy with a US executive order that opens the door to seabed mining outside of international consultation. Caleb Fotheringham has more.
In the Metal Company's, or TMC's, first quarter update of 2025, Chief Executive Gerard Barron says its subsidiary, Nauru Ocean Resources, is not going to apply to mine through the International Seabed Authority on June 27, which was the earlier intention.
Just to be clear, we are applying under the US regs and not the ISA yet to be completed regs.
Instead, TMC has submitted an application to mine through the United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration under a new executive order by President Donald Trump. However, Mr. Barron says the company will still renew its Nauru Ocean Resources exploration license next year with the International Seabed Authority.
We will be renewing that because NORI is in full compliance. There is no legal basis upon which that license cannot be renewed.
The application area for mining under the US regulations covers 25,000 square kilometres in the Clarion-Clipperton zone. Mr. Barron says the map of the exact area will be released shortly, but he won't be walking over Nauru or Tonga's toes. The countries have both partnered with TMC at the International Seabed Authority.
It's area that is not claimed by any other sovereign, and we feel that's important, that while there is a ability to lay claim over ground that is currently under license through the ISA by other countries, we made a deliberate plan not to do that.
China's ambassador to Nauru, Lu Qing, met with President David Ariang a week ago to talk about deep-sea mining. A spokesperson for China's embassy in Nauru says the United States has trampled on the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea by having a separate mechanism to allow for deep-sea mining. China warns the move may lead to disaster. Phil McGabe with the Deep Sea Conservation Coalition says China's interest in deep-sea mining in the region is growing.
This is the third Pacific Island country that China has spoken to on deep-sea mining and looking for greater cooperation with, following the Cook Islands sealed deal on cooperation and discussions with Kiribati as well. So that's signalling, deep sea mining as an interest in the region.
International Seabed Authority Secretary General Letitia Cavallo claims the US does not have the jurisdiction to offer permits.
Circumventing the regulatory authority of the ISA not only breaches international law, but also erodes trust, exacerbated global inequality, and creates a very important element that's silencing voices of the least developing countries, landlocked developing countries, and small developing countries, small island developing states.
Ms. Cavallo says TMC has been very pushy on the mining regulations, so the company pivoting to the US was not completely unforeseen.
The new administration of U.S. aligned with a number of issues regarding employment generation, security, also regarding the fact that they are somehow behind China in the possession of these minerals, and China is the biggest one on land.
Durissa Lee with Greenpeace Aotearoa says the Trump administration is acting outside of multilateralism.
This sets a very, very low bar and a terrible precedent for other countries, member states, and deep-sea mining, or wannabe deep-sea mining companies to follow.
Despite criticism, the metals company's share price has been skyrocketing, quadrupling since the beginning of this year. CEO Jared Barron believes the price has been previously held back by a lack of a clear regulatory pathway, which he sees is now secure through the US regulations.
We believe this US-based pathway offers the greatest probability of receiving a commercial permit in a timely, transparent and legally robust manner, giving us clear line of sight to responsible commercial operations.
Mr. Barron expects the commercial recovery permit to be deemed compliant prior to the end of June. The metals company will go through an environmental review next if it's deemed compliant.
Last month, award-winning Pacifica digital hub Coconut TV released its feature film, First Place, a story that follows high school student Victoria, the leader of St. Gabriel's Samoan group who navigates the ups and downs ahead of Polyfest. The film has gained almost 400,000 views online and has resonated well with Pacifica people from all over the world. I caught up with the film's lead actress, Rain Te'i, and began by asking about her acting debut.
That experience was amazing, actually. I'm currently studying at Waiwhakaari, the New Zealand School of Drama in Te Whanganui Tara, Wellington. And when I got the role, I was still in my second year of studies. And so I was quite nervous to go from a learning institution into a professional shoot, I suppose. And so I had a lot of anxiety around that. But I think it was a perfect project to being while still in school. I feel like I was very cared for and very held by everybody on set. So I think it was just an amazing experience, as well as the story. Being able to tell a story like that is and was such an honour.
Well, it sounds like performing arts is something that you're very passionate about, because I understand that you performed at Polyfest on the Māori and Samoa stage, and you took out the Taupo category in 2022. Did you experience any of the challenges that your character Victoria went through in real life?
No, luckily enough, no, I did not. I think, well, of course, Polyfest practices are never easy. I think they really do push you, and I attribute a lot of my success to those rooms. I think now being at drama school, we have pretty intense physical training as well, but it feels like, this is nothing compared to Polyfest. And so I think Victoria, she wasn't really, I feel like her group was reluctant and unsupportive, I suppose. And for good reason, kind of, a little bit. But I think my group, in real life, they were all really supportive of me. As Rain, I don't really speak Samoan. And so it was my year 13 when I decided to join Samoan group. And I had always really done kapahaka. And so I was kind of hesitant, and then I showed up and they were all speaking Samoan, and I was just there in the corner and I was like, but I made it through, and they really, really pushed me. I think I fall more on like a Paulo side in terms of understanding Samoan and speaking Samoan, and so I really relate to that character, ironically.
How else did Polyfest help you with adjusting into your Samoan identity? Because as I also understand, you grew up in the States before you moved to New Zealand? Yes.
So my dad he's American Samoan, but he is from California. Mm-hmm. And he was also in the Navy. And so for a lot of my life, I grew up in Hawaii as well as California. And so, yes, it's funny because obviously Pacifica people are the minority there, but in the places where I lived, obviously Hawaii, there's more of a Pacifica community there, as well as where I lived in California. So my family's from Oceanside, California, which is the sister city of Bongbongo in American Samoa. And so we also have more of a Samoan community than other places in the States. And so I was lucky to have that. But in terms of Viva Samoa, there's not really things like Polyfest in the States. There are some things, but it's not as widespread and not as, I'd say, serious as in New Zealand.
Yeah. Well, regardless, your life experiences has led you to star in your first feature film. So what's been the response been like, particularly from our youth, towards the film and your character?
Oh, well, yes. So it's been well received. I personally don't really read comments. I think that's just kind of a choice that I've made for my own mental health. Yep. my own good. And so I personally don't really read comments. But my sister, my younger sister, she sends me a lot of TikTok edits, which I think is a mark of approval. And because I'm not on TikTok either. And so it's been well received, although Victoria is kind of a divisive character. You love her, then you hate her. And it's kind of up to each individual person whether they forgive her in the end, Some people are like, oh, she never did anything wrong. And then I'm just like, I don't know if they're just saying that to me because I play her or because they actually believe that, But in terms of the story, I think the story is being really well received as the portrayal of the Samoan community, Polyfest, also just the pitfalls of high school in general. I think it's been well received in that aspect as well.
Awesome. And just while we're still on the subject of Polyfest, are you still performing the Siva Samoa these days?
Yes, actually. We are doing a performance for Samoan Language Week coming up. And me and some other girls are putting together a little Super Samoa for the school. So it is a passion of mine, as well as I love Sivasi as well. And so but it's kind of hard in Wellington. It's very, very windy.
Yep, I feel you on that. And hey, just to close off our Talanoa reign, what other projects do you have in the pipeline?
Yes, so I was also a part of Papa's Chair, which premiered at Māori Land Film Festival, I suppose in March, which ended up taking out the People's Choice Award, which was such an honour. So that, I'm pretty sure that's making the film festival circuit at the moment. And I was also a part of a film called Our Party, starring Davida McKenzie and Thomas McKenzie. And that's his short film as well that will be coming out. I'm not quite sure when, but sometime. And then besides that, I'm just trying to focus on finishing school.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā soifua.